Television advertising has been a favorite channel of B2B companies since the day after it debuted. The rise of connected TV, or CTV as we like to call it, opened the door for B2B orgs to get in on the TV action, while also using many of the same targeting and ABM tactics they use in online advertising. Today, we're talking to Chris Modzelewski of Intentsify about how B2B can best utilize the CTV channel, what CTV measurement looks like, and more. Welcome to Conversations with Martech.
My name is Chris Modzelewski, and I run ad solutions and audience data and insights for Intentsify, which is basically a business-to-business go-to-market company. We support customers across their entire go-to-market motion, specifically for B2B companies that are looking to sell their products and solutions to other customers. I personally have been in the advertising space for about the last 27 years, principally across various different ad tech offerings and in a lot of different measurement spaces. Ran product at Dynata, built a number of audience measurement companies, worked both extensively in the US as well as also globally in, good Lord, probably about 16 or so countries. So been in the space since back when I had hair.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Chris. We're going to talk about CTV. It's early in 2026 as we have this conversation. How would you describe the state of CTV?
So I think that CTV right now is probably one of the most vibrant and interesting channels and mediums that is rapidly developing across marketing broadly and in B2B specifically. With working with our customers, one of the things that we see right now is that customers have sort of evolved from thinking about digital advertising as being principally performance marketing oriented to now how does it help to support the underlying brand, and within that and in driving brand performance, brand awareness, brand perception, that is something that CTV seems to work very, very well for those customers in doing. It's also a natural progression from their earlier experimentation with online video, where basically CTV now becomes conceptually for those customers a very natural kind of progression and evolution.
All right. So there have long been barriers to doing video, whether you're in B2B or big B2C budgets kind of owned video, right? For years, it was the television ads. There were barriers to entry there because the creative and the cost of. And early on in CTV, we heard a lot of the same, but it's never been easier to create a video. I mean, look what we're doing. Right? So what barriers remain for people, and which of those barriers are real and which are maybe more perception than reality?
So I do think that in many ways, the creative barrier is actually real, but it's not for the real that a lot of people sort of naturally think about. The creative barrier often stems from the fact that for B2B marketers, the creative nuances of what is in essence a television ad is different. It's a different channel. It's a different format than most B2B marketers have been used to sort of thinking in. Now, they may have dabbled and gotten their feet a little bit wet, so to speak, in building online video, but online video is also a slightly different format. And so that familiarity gap, I think, is a very, very real gap that exists for a lot of different marketing teams. The technical process of producing videos, that has become super, super easy. Now, I am a Luddite despite being in the ad tech field, and so I am not what one might think of as a generative AI booster when it comes to the idea that generative AI is going to produce fantastic video ads for us, but it is definitely helpful in the process of framing and building out your video ideas. It won't build a finished great high-end video production ad for you, but it can help you get some of the way there. And all of that, I think, is some of the things that are helping to make CTV more accessible for marketing teams that haven't worked in the channel before or haven't worked in television before.
Yeah. First-hand experience here. There was a trailer. Martech viewers might be familiar with the trailer for the March Martech conference online this spring. And AI was not used to create the video per se. It's not an AI video, but AI spec the whole thing out for me.
Yep.
Right.
And how did that work? How did that go?
It worked wonderfully. And the big time saver was we wanted clips from previous conferences and, 96 pages of transcripts. AI, here's the story, find the clips, show me the timestamps. And for a person to do that, it's going to take forever.
Absolutely. That took a 4-day process for a 4-day, very mind-numbing, I will add, process, and converted it into something that probably took half an hour, maybe at most.
Storyboard it out. Tell me what the voiceover should say, and then everybody goes, "Well, AI." Well, no, there's always humans to review it and say, "Okay, AI got this wrong, got that wrong." No.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
it's full disclosure. AI will always be getting stuff wrong. That human in the loop is 100% necessary. When I hear a marketer tell me, "Oh no, we're going to use AI for everything end to end," that is the point at which, if I still had hair, it would fall out in terror.
You talked about channels, right? B2B has always there's a lot of channels at their disposal. CTV maybe being one of the newer, more experimental ones for a lot of the brands. What's the best way to use CTV? Where does it fit in the buyer's journey, and what other tactics should you use alongside it?
So I am a very big believer in CTV's impact on brand, principally brand awareness and brand perception. So nobody is going to see a CTV ad and then convert right then and there on the spot, or fill in a form, or book a meeting. That it's not that kind of medium. You might get some things like that to some extent on certain devices, but there are better ways to do that. But in terms of showcasing your brand or your solutions brand to your potential customers, CTV has a high impact and a high memorability that is deeply, deeply important for driving and raising that awareness. So one of the ways that we often sort of work with customers is we recommend customers utilize CTV to drive awareness, then couple that with audio to drive perception and association, and then couple with digital out of home to drive recency. And those three sort of channels really help to move the needle in terms of performance when it comes to brand awareness, brand perception, and driving to sort of warm up the audience to taking a meaningful action and engaging more directly with a traditional ABM method, or outreach, or email nurture, or sales call, or what have you, to drive the demand gen dimension.
Yeah. So we talked about brand. We talked about creative. You just talked about a couple of channels there, and digital out of home that maybe B2B wasn't. The email nurtures and stuff are much more of B2B's lane for years, right?
Absolutely.
Over the last couple of years, we heard a lot about B2B brands are going to hire more B2C marketers, right? And it would play into everything you just mentioned, because to B2C, that's all we done this before, right?
Right.
Do you see that happening?
A little bit, but not in any type of mass hiring pattern, is the way that I would say it. What I'm more, I think, seeing is I'm seeing B2B marketers expanding their toolkits and starting to learn about how channels that they might not necessarily have been meaningfully familiar with, how those channels basically work. Now, that's not to say that B2B isn't hiring people with B2C experience. That is definitely happening, and I think that it is probably happening more. But I don't think it's the type of thing where the cohort of people employed in B2B marketing have to be necessarily stressing, "Oh God, am I going to lose my job to those folks who do B2C?" I don't see that happening, but I do see the set of tools for B2B marketers expanding. And so for B2B marketers to be successful in their roles, they've got to build those different tools. Like B2B is, if you go back ages and ages and ages, B2B marketing evolved heavily out of almost a direct marketing tradition. Here, we're much more in the world of brand marketing that just simply, new set of tools that give marketers more fun things to play with.
Yeah, those tools and those channels in particular, there's a lot of focus on measurement. So what does CTV measurement look like? How does it compare to other channels in that regard? How does it compare to what B2B marketers are accustomed to if they haven't spent a lot of time in CTV?
So I think that measurement is ultimately the key distinction between successful marketing and unsuccessful marketing. And that's true for B2B, for B2C, period, the end. If it's not measured, it's not managed. And the thing that CTV gives us the ability to do is it gives us that ability to track and to both target specifically the advertising to who is actually relevant. So we work very heavily with customers who are used to thinking in context of ABM. Well, great. With CTV, I can now apply ABM targeting to my television advertising. That's a complete game changer in terms of cost efficiency and performance and return on ad spend that we're getting. Then the next piece of that puzzle is how do I then effectively measure the reach of my CTV dollars against my intended audience, and how do I then tie that back to the life cycle of the accounts, the buyer groups that I have reached through my CTV buy? And because CTV is digital, and because it can be accompanied with various different types of impression tags and the like, I now suddenly have observability across not just CTV, but across all of the different digital channels where I might be touching a given member of the audience. That's a fundamental game changer and world of difference from TV traditionally, from traditional linear TV. The second piece is brand. So that's all on like the direct response, like the type of things that B2B marketers are used to thinking of. You know, what are my view throughs? What are my site visits like? What are my form fills, my MQLs, my SQLs? That's all kind of table stakes. The brand measurement is another dimension to it, which CTV then allows you to basically be able to capture larger scale audiences, reach more people who are relevant to your brand, and then leverage traditional brand health and brand measurement techniques, be they pre-post studies, control exposed studies, variety of different methods to understand how is CTV, and then how are the different channels that a given audience member may be exposed in, moving the brand metrics. All of that is measurement that suddenly becomes possible with these new channels, which is deeply, deeply cool.
Yeah. Let's say, so it's spring of 2026 when this airs. If we were to reconvene in spring of 2027 to talk about CTV, what do you think we'd be talking about?
I think we would be talking about how AI production has accelerated production timetables. So and I've seen that already just in the course of the past year, right? Like we talked about the scripting and storyboarding process and things like that. A year ago when I was talking to advertisers about CTV, they're like, all right, it's going to take us 6 to 8 months to put together a CTV ad, right? To put together CTV creative. Now we're like, all right, we'll have a creative in 6 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that, right? So that acceleration is, I think, a theme that is only going to rise in amplitude over the coming year. So that's item number one. Item number two is that kind of targeting sophistication. An overarching theme across B2B marketing that I'm seeing right now is B2B marketers starting to think about targeting advertising for both brand as well as demand sides of the process in a segment and audience and buyer group driven way that is a major evolution. And it's an evolution that pays significant dividends in CTV specifically.
All right. Chris Modzelewski from Intentsify. Thanks for joining us on Conversations with MarTech.
Thanks a lot, Mike. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to having that chat about where CTV is a year from now.
See you next year. Thanks, Chris.